Spectre Vision Radio.
I mustered the courage to keep walking, so here I was walking up this dirt road in the middle of the night to pick my friend up. And once I got to the top of the hill, I seen a torso just hovering there. And I didn't see a head or anything. And of course, the hands and the feet it just looked like it was hovering. It didn't have any legs, and it was just literally the top half of a man's body. It did not have a head. I was so terrified, I was just standing still, scared to death. My blood literally ran cold.
Mm-hmm. They claim that our eyes will just be either slightly different from what they are. We talk these things are not normal.
Welcome to Strange Familiars. How you doing tonight, Allison?
I'm doing okay.
Well, tonight we have a bit of a shorter show because it's Albatwitch week, but also been given a lot of hour and a half, hour and 45-minute shows. So hopefully people can forgive us for a little bit of a shorter show this week. Going to be talking to Jeremy, who's got stories from West Virginia about a disembodied headless torso, a strange experience exploring a mountain known for weird lights, and then a possible Bigfoot experience from when he was young. This was recorded at the gathering with Chad again. Mm-hmm. So you will hear Chad asking some questions as well. The powwow gathering, Pennsylvania Dutch folk magic powwow, not a Native American powwow. The mosquitoes were so bad that night.
Didn't you say one of the people there, the attendees had to go to the hospital for them?
Yeah, he went to urgent care.
Yeah, and you were covered.
My legs were covered in them. It was awful. It was really bad. Mosquitoes are really bad this year.
It's almost like being near the water in the summertime.
Yeah. It was rough there. But we had a good time, got some good interviews. Happy for it. And before we get to Jeremy, I want to mention Albatwitch Day. It is this Saturday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at
Riverfront Park in Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, just across the river from Columbia.
South Front Street.
Yeah, you can navigate there by just putting in South Front Street, Wrightsville, Pennsylvania, 17368.
Now, weather looks iffy at this point, and weather can change, I know, especially in Pennsylvania, on a dime. If it's pouring down raining, I don't think I'm going to break out the prints. It's too much paper. We sell a lot of paper. The year it was pouring, It was really hard for us. But I'll bring everything. We're planning on setting up. Let's put it that way. And we'll see, depending on how bad the rain is, what we break out. But I'll bring all the T-shirts. I'll bring all the books. I'll bring everything. Mm-hmm. The prints, everything. But if it's pouring, we're going to have to make adjustments. We'll see. And hopefully the weather changes.
Then it'll just be sunny or overcast or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's rain or shine. So you can come out and see us either way. I am giving a talk. I believe my talk's at 1 p.m. And I will be talking on the Albatwitch and other little folk from Pennsylvania. And we have quite a menu of them. Leprechauns, dwarves, goblins, you name it. We got quite a bit.
Imps.
There's an imp in there.
Fairies.
There's fairies in there.
Elves.
Sure. There's, Yep, there's elves in there. I mean, the Albitwitch. Alb is German for elf.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's our little hairy elf, but there's more. There's more as well. Lots to talk about in that. So that's my presentation I'll be giving, and that's at 1 p.m., and that's taken from my forthcoming book, The Keystone Hagstone, which is about fairies and other liminal entities in Pennsylvania. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to my interview with Jeremy.
Can I just get your name? You can just give your first name if you want.
My name is Jeremy Kreitz.
It's okay to use your name on the podcast.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And
just
to give people an idea, again, this is going out to a lot of people, so don't give your home address, but about where
this takes place, probably when I was 23, so it would have been probably roughly 2006.
Okay.
And this took place in Hardy County, West Virginia, in a little town called Moorfield.
Okay.
And the road is called Dover Hollow. And so back then I was a truck driver. I was trying to, I guess, escape the mountains. And I was on the road one night, and I got the call from one of my friends that, I don't know what to do with my life. So, you can ride with me, and then I'll help you get your CDLs, and we'll figure that out. So I went to pick him up. So I arrived at Dover Hollow probably about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was probably about the summertime, but it was really late at night, and I'm not sure exactly about the time frame, but somewhere along in there. And I couldn't get my truck up the road because they lived up a dirt road in the mountain. So I had to park my truck at the bottom of the road and walk up, which was probably, maybe like a half a mile. And, it was a big cow field. So it had these big bulls in there that, pitch black, and, it was a very scary experience. My adrenaline was gone already because I was scared of those bulls. But
they get nasty at night.
They get nasty.
They're kind of scared, I guess, in the dark or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was trying to talk myself up and make a plan if those bulls started to charge me.
I grew up on a farm, and at night I used to hug the fence. I'd walk right along the fence because if they come at me, I just pop over to the other side. Yeah, because they could be a problem.
So, I mustered the courage to keep walking. So I was walking up this dirt road in the middle of the night to pick my friend up, and once I got to the top of the hill, I seen a torso just hovering there, and I couldn't see anything, but it looked like it had kind of like a jacket on, to me it looked like it would have been maybe a grayish color jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see a head or anything, and of course, the hands and the feet it just looked like it was hovering.
So no legs.
I didn't have any legs, and it was just literally the top half of a man's body.
Okay, interesting.
And that's all I could see, but it did not have a head, and it looked like there wasn't much detail there, so I was kind of thinking, I was so terrified, I was just standing still, scared to death. My blood literally ran cold.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to think was going on. I didn't know if my eyes were playing tricks on me. I was trying to remain skeptical and calm, but all I could do was just stand there and say, my friend's name, I won't mention his name.
Yeah, no problem.
We can't get his permission.
Mm-hmm.
But I was yelling for my friend to come out, and it was quite a ways away. So here I am screaming at the top of my lungs, hopefully that he'll come out. So he comes out and says, "Hey, Jeremy, what's going on?" So he shines the light on, and I take off running inside the house.
Was this thing still there the whole time? Or
it was just kind of like a flash.
Okay.
It wasn't staying there.
Okay, so it wasn't just hovering there the whole time you were
Right.
calling.
It was just, I seen it, and then it was gone.
Okay.
And that's kind of how it went down. But it left me stricken in fear, you know. I was terrified because it was the middle of the night, you know.
Yeah, it's an odd thing to see.
But I was thinking, well, you know, it's pretty common for my eyes to just be playing tricks on me. But the kicker is when I went in there and he could see I was pale and, you know, I was sweating and I was sitting there trembling. And he said, well, what's going on? So I told him what I'd just seen, and he said, that's not unusual. He said, let me tell you, you know, back in like the Depression days, there was a family that lived here, a farmer, and he went out into the field and he blew his head off. You know, he literally committed suicide, you know, and they weren't sure exactly the details of it, just that this farmer committed suicide, and you know, he shot himself in the head. So I was thinking, I was like, wow, that's a pretty strange coincidence there. Maybe I did see something.
Well, yeah,
you know, but nonetheless, that night was, you know, I was still thinking about it today, and here we are 20 years later.
Yeah, it's creepy.
And I personally experienced that, so, you know, that's a true story.
So we've gotten stories of torsos before. I don't know if they were headless, but definitely just torsos by themselves. We've gotten stories of legs by themselves, which is really bizarre. Like, so this is not something that's completely out of the realm of things I've heard.
If you have an experience, I mean, you don't really know what you're going to see. It's just, you know, your mind doesn't even have time to really process it, you know, in that case. But, you know, I definitely seen, you know, what looked to be a torso with a jacket on. And it would have made sense because he said that happened roughly at the fall time. So I'm like, well, it wasn't exactly fall, but in that place you experience all kinds of things. I mean, growing up, there's all kinds of stories that you hear growing up, but that one, it was one I particularly experienced.
Yeah.
And another experience I had, so we had this mountain called Coal Mountain, and of course this has actually been written about in books and stuff, and where they have this ball of light that just kind of like travels around on the mountain at nighttime. Okay. And I personally never seen the ball of light, but I have gone searching for it just to see if I could, if it was real, you know, what people talking about. Because this is like a century-old thing that people have been experiencing there. You know, one time I took a group of friends up there. And, of course, I told them the story while we're going up there. And they're like, yeah, okay, let's experience that. So, this place is extremely creepy. I mean, it would be a perfect place to shoot some kind of weird video, you know, or, you know, it's just a creepy place. So going down this, like, dirt road in the middle of the mountains, and, you know, it's got all these really ancient, creepy trees just kind of, like, overshadowing the road. So here I was, we got about halfway up. Now, for some reason, when you get halfway up this road, like, my car shut off, like, battery dead, everything. Couldn't even turn the key, you know. So it went from driving to it just stopped.
Just stopped dead.
You know, dead. And then once I rode a little bit further, the car started up again. So we drove to the top, and then for some reason at the top of this road, there's this house. And you can go look in the windows, you know, I don't know who owns it or anything, but to make things even more creepy, this house, like, it's a 2-story, like, farmhouse, but, like, when you peep in the windows, like, you know how kids are being curious, they'll just look. So that's what we were doing, shining lights in the windows. And they had these, you know, these old-timey signs that you can buy that people are coming out with now?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they had those that had, like, these old-timey, like, kids or something, or dads and mothers from, like, the 50s or something. But it would you know, they would have
the 50s dad with the pipe.
Yeah, they would have signs like that, but, like, the words were, you know, if you love your kids, you got to beat them. You know, stuff like that. There's always something, like, weird, like, a father who loves his wife rules with a strong hand.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Stuff like that. And that's not really too, you know, odd in itself, considering that, they could just be funny little signs that people were getting a dark sense of humor out of. What was strange, however, is this place had like chairs with leather straps on it that you could see sitting in there.
Like to strap people in?
Yeah, they look like something like that you would tie people up with.
Weird.
Like those old-timey, like executioner chairs.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And they had like straps on the walls and stuff, with it looked like some S&M type stuff, like some bondage type stuff.
Yeah.
With these signs up there, though, about little kids and families.
That's not painting a very nice picture.
No.
The fact that you look in there and you see all that stuff, and then you see those signs in the middle of the night after you just had that experience where your lights are cutting off halfway up this road that's supposed to be haunted anyway, and you see this house, and then you're just in the middle of nowhere. My friend busts out in tears, starts screaming, "Get me out of here, get me out of here, get me out of here." And it was just a sense of panic at that time, I think, was worse than anything, because nothing really happened. It was just a very odd situation. It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Did
you know people who had seen the light up there, though?
I mean, you're always hearing stories about people. All that light's real,
Yeah.
The story is like back in the slave days, there was a slave master that had a slave. Now, they were friends, though. They weren't really, it wasn't a mean relationship, like you would normally hear. But it was more or less like they became friends, they loved each other. So, I guess the master went out and he was going to, go, do something at night, like hunt or something. I can't remember exactly. But he didn't come back. So after a couple of days, the slave, took his lantern out and he was going to look for his master. And one of the stories is that because the slave never came back either, is that the light is that slave carrying that lantern around, looking for his slave master.
So we've seen several iterations of weird lights in the woods, but we've often said that they look like someone carrying a lantern,
especially
especially
there at
Site 7.
Site 7.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
It's pretty weird. For me, I've always, that's a pretty weird place to live, and the town is really nothing out of the ordinary. It's a really pretty town. It looks like the way they got it is because it's such a historical town that the way the streetlights are, it literally in the middle of the night looks like a town in the 1700s in England somewhere.
Cool.
So I like to, hang out there at nighttime because there's nobody there, and it's just such a beautiful town. So, you grow up, you hear some of these stories, and then you see some stuff, and then you just don't really know what to make of it, You're just, did I have an experience or didn't I? That's...
So the car shutting off, I don't know how much you know about this stuff. This happens in all across the phenomenon, whether we're talking about ghosts or Bigfoot or UFOs. People, not all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, thankfully. But it does happen enough where people talk about it.
I've had that happen in Pittsburgh.
That was the only... See, besides...
Yeah.
Just your car just went...
Yeah, it went dead. Yeah.
Besides seeing the house, that was the strangest thing that we experienced, because there's no reason for it, There's nothing there. There's nothing electrical there or anything.
Right. Well, we've had, these recorders, we'll put new batteries in sometimes, and we can literally watch the batteries drain in some of these places. You just see them just go, brand new batteries, you'll just see them go...
See, the weirdest thing was it happens both going up and down the mountain at the same spot.
That's, again, not terribly uncommon.
Wow, that is weird. So,
yeah.
It's just little weird things that makes you think, is this a paranormal experience, or is there a scientific explanation? I think maybe there is a scientific explanation.
Maybe. I mean...
Maybe it's weird, but
I think...
Nonetheless, it's weird.
Probably a lot of things we call paranormal are just things we can't explain with science that we have right now,
Absolutely.
But maybe someday we will be able to. But yeah, I don't know. So that's interesting, though. Very interesting.
Everybody likes extra content. And if you like Strange Familiars and you want to get extra content and help us make the show at the same time, you can become a patron at Patreon. Patreon.com/strangefamiliars. Our patrons get commercial-free versions of the weekly shows, plus extra episodes. Every month, we do at least one exclusive episode. Sometimes we do more for our patrons. Our Patreon patrons also get to participate in an ongoing paranormal experiment, which has kicked off, but it's crafted in such a way that you can join anytime. For more information, go to patreon.com/strangefamiliars. There's also an option to become a patron at Apple Podcasts. The program there is called Patron of the Strange. And if you join an Apple Podcast, you get the commercial-free shows weekly and the extra episodes monthly as well. And very soon, we'll be activating YouTube memberships. You can subscribe on YouTube for free, and please do that, even if you listen elsewhere. That does help us out, and it doesn't cost a thing. But soon we'll be activating memberships, and if you become a member on YouTube, you will get those bonus episodes monthly as well. And I want to thank our patrons everywhere, no matter where they're signed up, for your support and your help. We couldn't do the show without you, so thank you very much.
But those are the things, too, that come to mind that I absolutely have experienced with my own eyes.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing this.
Very much appreciate it.
Absolutely. The other stories, though, I got more stories from that I had people tell me that they experienced, but I think some of those are actually in like the West Virginia ghost story books or whatever.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't want to give you those because you could just read those yourself.
All right.
But, those are what I experienced,
Yeah, well, no, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Of course, I also, I had a Bigfoot story, but, I don't really know if it was probably just a black bear or something, but...
You can't bring up Bigfoot and not tell me.
Yeah, you're going to have to tell him now.
All right, so...
Even if it was a black bear, I'll make the call. No, I'm just kidding.
This was early adult. Well, I wasn't even adult. This was way before. The other stories were early adult. This is when I was a kid. I was probably like maybe 13. I had this big red 3-wheel that was kind of souped up and modified to where it wouldn't flip over so easy. But I like to take that thing out in the mountains and just get lost and just explore the Appalachians,
It's amazing, I was fearless about getting lost as a kid.
Fearless, absolutely.
I just into the woods I'd go. I wouldn't even think about it.
Right.
And I'd find my way back somehow.
Full of adventure.
Yeah.
You just had this sense of wonder then.
Yeah. I also had a better sense of direction back then.
Well, you didn't care. You knew that you would find your way back out.
Yeah, well, and I this is neither here nor there, but I have MS, and I used to have excellent balance, and I lost my sense of balance. I half wonder if your sense of direction isn't tied to that somehow. Because you lose your balance. Yeah, so... Because now I get turned around a lot. Where before it's like when I was young, I would always, it seemed like I could always point to north. No matter where I was in the world, I knew where north was, and now that's gone. That's gone.
I couldn't tell you where north is either, sitting from where we're at right now.
He can. Where's north?
I could probably figure out looking at the sky eventually.
He's got the sense of direction that I had and lost.
But
once in a while though, I get turned around.
Yeah, there's a couple places that'll twist you up. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so, I like to go exploring when I was a kid, because that was West Virginia. That's about all you were going to get to do back in those days, because we didn't have computer or anything like that. But here I was. It was getting dark, so I was getting ready to head home, before it got too dark. Now, I'm not somebody that's scared of the dark because... I like to explore the woods in the dark, but this particular night, I didn't even have my 3-wheeler. I parked it in the field and walked, right in the middle of the mountain. There was nothing around, nobody around. And all of a sudden, in the distance, I seen this black figure, and it was so weird. The way it moved was just so weird. It just looked like a weird shadow. And I sit there. I kept my eye on it because I was like, okay, wild animal, but that is a strange-looking wild animal. And I was like, oh, my first thought was, what it looked like exactly was a weirdly moving black gorilla. And then I was thinking, well, we don't have gorillas in West Virginia, so it can't be a black gorilla. I'm like, but we do have a bunch of black bears. So I was like, it doesn't look like a bear, it looks more like a black gorilla. It was even kind of like walking like a gorilla for a minute. And then...
like knuckle walking kind of thing?
It was kind of knuckle walking a little bit. It looked like it from that distance. And then of course, it did stand up and start walking. I was like, oh no, this is strange. And I was like, either it's Bigfoot and it's going to turn around and leave, or it's a black bear. And at that time, I was like, well, I wasn't sure what to think about Bigfoot, but I really believed in black bears.
Sure.
But it was just the thing that struck me was the way it was moving. I was like, oh no, either way, I'm this little kid here. I have no hope of getting away from it before it can get me if it wants to get me. So I'm sitting there making the plan, well, climb tree, and I was like, well, it might work for Bigfoot, but if it's a bear, it's probably going to climb that tree. So I was just scared and didn't know what to do, and then, all of a sudden it turned around and left. But still, I always wonder what I seen there, because it did look awful strange, and it looked like the classic Bigfoot sighting. Yeah. And then I went and I was telling like some old man what I seen, and he's like, well, it was back in the 70s or something where people around here did have Bigfoot sightings, so they sent a group of scientists in to see if they can explain it. It's something like that. I'm not sure if they were exactly scientists, but
yeah,
they sent some experts out there to try to see what was going on. And I don't know what came out of that, but I was like, oh, so it's synchronistic that I possibly had this experience, and yet other people might have seen something too, all the way back like the 70s or something. So
at that age,
it's strange.
So at that age, you knew what a black bear looked like. Like you already saw black bears in the woods.
You see black bears, but they wouldn't bother you or anything like that.
What I'm saying is, at that age, you had already seen black bears walking through the woods, so you definitely knew that was different.
I kept my mind open for the possibility, but it was strange. It did not look like a black bear to me at that time. It literally just looked like a black gorilla. Now, it was so far away I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but it was an odd experience.
Yeah, you knew you had a feeling that something was off.
Something was off,
and the way it moved was not. Absolutely wasn't. You knew by the way it moved that it wasn't like a typical black bear.
Right. So I couldn't really make the judgment of what it was, because I like to remain skeptical.
No, that's acceptable.
That's very much a good way to be.
And even at that age, I was like, well, I don't want to be somebody who goes around saying, oh yeah, I have all these experiences.
Could you remember about how far away it was? I can understand if you don't, but I was just...
It was, when you have an experience like that, you remember it for life, I believe,
Trust me.
Just because there's fear associated with it, it sticks in you.
Oh, yeah.
I would say it's probably, maybe a quarter of a mile or something, at least, from my recollection. So,
But you could see well enough where it looked like it stood up and walked upright for a while.
Right. I could tell what it was doing, but it was just black, and I couldn't tell exactly what it was.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. From my mind, it was just odd. It was just an odd situation, and I kind of had, oh no, I'm about to be eaten.
No, I get that.
And I'm not sure. I'm either going to get beat to death or eaten. I'm not sure which is going. Either way, whichever it is, it has the power to just destroy me. And so I was like, but however, if it's, but I was kind of struck with awe at the same time, because I was like, well, what is that? That is some strange thing right there. And then all I could think about was in my mind was, man, West Virginia's got some weird stuff going on. I know it does. Some of these stories are true. And but yeah, those are the stories I pretty much experienced myself.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Allison. No Curiosity of the Week. Got Albatwitch coming up. Unfortunately, we won't have any new t-shirts for Albatwitch Day, but I'm going to get some new t-shirts done and some hoodies for the fall/winter season here. Get a new design out soon.
Yeah, and they'll be ready before Christmas, right?
Yeah, we'll get them ready before Christmas and make sure we have those for pre-order and everything else. Even though we're not doing a Curiosity of the Week, you can still check out our Etsy shop. Our shop name is Lost Grave. But if you type in Strange Familiars at the Etsy search, you should see our stuff come up. You can get to it that way. There's links to the Etsy shop in the show notes to most episodes and at strangefamiliars.com as well. Over at Etsy, you can find copies of my books. And if you get them from us on Etsy, they'll come signed. Artwork, prints, and originals, including the artwork for tonight's show. You can purchase that there. Strange Familiars t-shirts, stickers, patches, and more. Allison has photos and other ephemera there. You can check it out. Again, our shop name is Lost Grave, but you can get to it through links in the show notes. Whatnot. Everyone, make sure to sign up for Whatnot because we got the big Whatnot show coming up with John and Riverbend Comics in early November, right before the release of High Strangeness Comics #2 with my cover and an essay inside I wrote on Bigfoot and High Strangeness, a weird Bigfoot essay.
I saw a little reel of the guy who did the first cover. Has that been released now?
The first one is just released, and John will have copies at Albatwitch Day, again, if it's not pouring down rain. But we're going to do a big Whatnot show in November. I've done exclusive art for it, sketch covers of comics with my art on it. I did a little series of original trading cards with original art on them. That'll be available. I'll be signing copies of High Strangeness #2. We might auction the artwork off, the original art for the cover I did for High Strangeness #2, and a bunch of other stuff. Should be a fun hang. I don't know how long it'll be. Probably as long as people are hanging out. We'll just hang out, and I'll do some live drawing maybe, and like I said, sign comics and everything else. And you can do that via Whatnot. And make sure to follow Riverbend Comics on Whatnot because John will be hosting the show. We have a Whatnot thing too, but we haven't done any shows yet. So this will be via Riverbend. So go ahead and sign up for Whatnot and follow Riverbend Comics there. All right. Once again, short episode this week, but we'll be back soon with more Strange Familiars. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope to see you at Albatwitch Day. Soraya is coming.
Oh, good.
So Soraya will be there. I'll be there. John will be there. I think Chad will be there. So the gang will be out in force, no matter what the weather. So come on out. Albatwitch Day this Saturday, October 11th at Riverfront Park in Wrightsville, 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. Hope to see everybody there. Strange Familiars is a production of Dark Holler Arts. Intro and background music is by Stone Breath. If you want to hear more, you can go to stonebreath.bandcamp.com. My 2 new albums, The Secret Heart of Hum and The Sacred Heart of Hum, are also there. You can get them on Bandcamp or you can get them on Etsy. If you get them on Bandcamp, you can get the CD or the digital download. If you get the CD on Bandcamp, it comes with the digital download, so you kind of get both there. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/strangefamiliars. The Strange Familiars Gathering group is there. You can join that. We are on Instagram @strangefamiliars, one word, no underscore. Please give us a follow there. For Strange Familiars merch, go to strangefamiliars.com/merch. And for everything else, links to everything we do, go to strangefamiliars.com.
sing the death of a dream to me, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? Water flows in bubbling stream, over rocks and underneath, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? And what is my name? It is my mother's son. How long will I walk? Oh, until I am done. And what shall I do? I will follow the hum until all of my songs have been sung. Off wings shade my eyes from stars, ring the bell and strand the cards, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? I am singing into the wind, to hollow bones and empty skin, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? And what is my name? It is my mother's son. How long will I walk? Oh, until I am done. And what shall I do? I will follow the hum until all of my songs have been sung. Twisting vine and sticks and skulls, dust and sand and deadly falls, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? To the lost, alone walking, I sing to you my offering, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? And what is my name? It is my mother's son. How long will I walk? Oh, until I am done. And what shall I do? I will follow the hum until all of my songs have been sung. Water flows in holy spring, under clouds and over me, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? call and screech my destiny, and who is listening to me? And where shall I find thee? And what is my name? It is my mother's son. How long will I walk? Oh, until I am done. And what shall I do? I will follow the hum until all of my songs have